All right, we're here at Jaybird Studio with Cecil Alexander and David Gilmore. We just recorded for the upcoming Duos record. These two folks played a song by David, and I've taken this opportunity to speak to both of them. And there's way more to talk about than we have time for, but I want to start with Wes Montgomery because we were just listening to Cecil play 4-on-6. We were playing Unit 7 together, and one of the first things I noticed about your playing when I heard you was you'd obviously absorbed deep Wes Montgomery.
Thank you.
Tutelage, and I know Wes is important to you too, right, David?
Yeah, early on for sure. Yeah, listened to a lot of Wes.
And so favorite Wes record?
Oh God, now you put me on the spot. What is it called? So Much Guitar, I think that one.
Yeah.
Smoking at the Half Note.
Yeah.
Can I change my answer?
Yeah.
Tsubo, the live thing, it's the same. It was labeled something else when I got it. I think it was combined with something, but it was basically Miles Davis rhythm section.
Right.
And saxophone player.
No
No
sax on Smoking at the Half Note.
No. But the live at Tsubo. That's what I'm saying. It was one that was.
Do you mean the Joe Henderson record with the Wynton Kelly trio?
I'll think of it in a minute.
Johnny Griffin.
Johnny Griffin.
That record.
Thank you.
What is that one called?
That's what I'm saying. It's like
the Wes record
Tsubo or
I don't
something
even
like
think
that.
I know Live at Tsubo's, but does that have Johnny Griffin on it?
Yeah, it's one with Johnny Griffin on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So here's my question to both of you. Wes is fundamental to jazz history, but both of you do so many different things. And it's one thing that I love about both your playing. You can insert yourself in so many different situations and make the music sound great. So to what degree do you feel this anchor that you have in Wes Montgomery has affected who you are and continues to demonstrate itself in different situations that you're in?
I feel like
just make sure you're speaking into the mic. Yeah.
I feel like I kind of can't get away from his sound and like his articulation. Like even when I approach other styles, I feel like I'm kind of approaching everything through that lens still, because that was something that I dug into at such a formative period in my development, Same with like Grant Green. I feel like I kind of hear his attack and his tone, like even if I'm playing like a fusion thing or something like that,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for you, it's primarily a feel thing as much as just that the bebop language.
Yeah, I think it's feel as much as it is the vocabulary and the notes and the rhythmic approach and everything.
Well, I always felt that anytime I needed to work on my feel, I just play along with Wes Montgomery, and I was like, oh wow, it feels so great, right?
Yeah. For me, it's his phrasing and the way he emphasizes rhythm in his phrasing. I mean, everything he plays is perfect, rhythmically.
Yeah.
Harmonically too, but it's almost like the rhythmic stuff informs his melodic phrasing, if that makes any sense.
It totally makes sense.
And I kind of discovered him through, first I was a huge George Benson fan. That was like my biggest.
So you started with Benson and then
George,
came to,
and
right.
then worked to Wes and then, Pat Martino, and then, worked my way back. But basically, and George is the same way, like rhythmically, just impeccable.
Yeah. How important is George Benson to you? I'm guessing very important.
Yeah, hugely important for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of got into all those guys around the same time.
Yeah.
Like just through like related videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I'd be on a Wes Montgomery video and then I'd pull up a George Benson video and just keep going further and further down the rabbit hole. But kind of the same thing I said about like Grant and Wes. I feel like I can't get away from his sound and his approach, regardless of what music I'm playing.
Yeah. Well, do you feel when you look at the landscape of guitar today, jazz guitar in particular, do you feel that it's moved away a little bit from that deep swing feel?
I think there are still people out there that do it really well and kind of just do that as their main thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's always going to be the case where there's like different camps
Yeah.
operating at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
David, one of the things that's so spectacular about your music is your use of rhythm in your writing, your playing as well. In fact, what we just heard you guys play here was a 12/8 African rhythm. And how did you get into West African music, and how has that become part of who you are?
You know, it just sort of through, I think, associating with African musicians in New York, particularly. Francis Mbappe, a bassist composer I used to play with like almost on a weekly basis at the Zinc Bar. And through him, I met Kaisa and a bunch of other African artists. And even though I didn't really study, you know, I couldn't even give the names to a lot of the rhythms, you know, but just through osmosis, I've sort of absorbed that, I think, to a certain extent. And I've always been attracted to music that has a strong rhythmic component to it. And, you know, obviously this music comes from, you know, in large part from African rhythms and sensibilities. So, and through working even with, you know, Steve Coleman and the whole M-Bass collective, because Steve was definitely heavily influenced by African rhythms. And actually, I think that was the name of a book that I read for that he recommended called African Rhythms and Sensibilities.
Yes.
And it was a very analytical insight into West African rhythms and stuff. So I was learning that stuff academically, but at the end, it was just sort of like, you know, how do I integrate that into my playing? So it's just really just playing with African. There's a lot of African musicians in New York, thankfully. You know?
Yeah. So you didn't do much of that in Boston, because I knew you grew up in Boston.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's where I discovered West African music, was through
okay.
David Locke up at, who
cool.
had a drum group up there.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, why don't you guys play a Wes Montgomery tune? Let's hear the music rather than talking about it.
Sure.
Want to do four on six?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
You want to take the melody?
Sure, I'll try.
Okay.
Haven't played it in years, but let's try it.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Beautiful. That's fantastic. Oh man.
Yeah.
You know, that piece and that record have been so formative to me. So let me just ask a couple of questions about it. Okay, so Cecil, when you're playing over the G, there's this long G minor vamp. It's almost all a G minor vamp. And what I noticed you doing some displacement stuff. And what are your strategies for approaching that so that you're mixing up, creating some harmonic interest in there above and beyond just playing a G Dorian scale?
I'm thinking a lot about related harmonies. So specifically like G minor to C7 relationship, or interjecting like a 2/5 where there isn't written in the tune, and even like setting up the C minor using another 2/5, like D minor 7, G7 into the C minor, and I might kind of stretch those out for as long as I feel like I need to support whatever melodic idea I'm doing.
Interesting. Okay. And David, same question.
Yeah, I mean, all of what Cecil just said, sometimes thinking of something in the family of G minor. You know, I might think of D minor or something, like a fifth away or something. You know, if I'm thinking Dorian, I'm sort of thinking sometimes a fifth away in D minor, or even A minor, which is gives like the sixth.
Sure.
And I don't know. There's so many things, approach tones and things like that, and not sticking just with D minor, but throwing harmonic minor or throwing melodic minor in there, and some tension notes in there. But it's all about trying to resolve it in a certain manner. And again, the rhythmic thing for me informs a lot of what I do phrasing wise, because, we talk about tension and resolution harmonically, but there's a lot of tension and resolution you could do rhythmically. And that's sort of something that I like to play around with a lot, and just sort of throw caution to the wind and just see what comes out.
Yeah. So want to take let's just vamp on G minor in 12/8. Because this is sort of what you all were doing before. I won't ask you to play the tune again, but can we watch you guys just kind of experiment with what we just talked about, just over one chord? Not only harmonically, of course, but rhythmically, and the way those two things come together and create vitality and a sort of continued sense of discovery in a one chord vamp.
Yeah.
We can try.
So would you approach it the same way if it was a G7 chord?
Like stretching out the harmony
Yeah,
in different ways?
it'd
Definitely.
be slightly different, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, it would be different, or approach the same way.
I'd approach it the same way in terms of just looking for outside options, like other than just the G7.
Right.
But I would think of different harmonies to
Do it
stretch
just a
things out
little bit, just on G7. You know, one of the defining things about trying to learn jazz to me is how to deal with the 5 chords, and the degree to which a student has navigated through the conventional approaches into the altered scale, and then past that into displacements and stuff. You know, which you guys have both done. It really sort of determines how it sounds. So I'd like to hear a little of that, because I know you guys could just play over Mixolydian scale and it would sound great. But what if you know, throw some dissonance in, stretch it.
All right.
Yeah.
Same feel?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay, so
James Brown, baby.
I've got to. Yeah, exactly.
That's like, if you want to learn how to play over a dominant chord, just listen to James Brown, listen to Maceo, listen to how those guys.
Yes.
Again, it's like Maceo, you know, harmonically very simple, you know, if you broke down what he's playing, but the rhythmic stuff is just insane how he displaces stuff. It's so driving what he does, yet so simplistic, but it's all about the placement, and it really elicits you know, what your accompanist is doing and what the whole rhythm section is doing around you. And I really, it's what I really love about guitar. It's not just that you can, you know, go on solo flights, but you're also the rhythm section.
So true.
You're the, you know, one of the drivers of the rhythm section.
Of course.
And that's, that, you know, I would say even before, you know, Wes and all these guitar players, I was learning James Brown. I was learning rhythm guitar. I
So
was
who
into
were the
funk.
other funk, soul?
I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Guitar players.
And, you know, I mean, guys who you don't even know the names to, you know.
No,
they
but
weren't
we
in-
want to know their names.
Well, I don't even know to this day, actually, a lot of those
I
guys.
hear
But,
you.
you know, Sugarfoot, you know, from Ohio players to
Right.
I'm forgetting all the names now, but
Eddie Hazel.
Eddie Hazel. I was just checking out the
Yeah.
other day a little bit of Eddie Hazel. Yeah,
And even
exactly.
the way, I can't space on
Mike
his name. The
Hampton.
guy who plays with Miles from Chicago.
Pete
The way
Cozy.
he-
Foley?
Pete Cozy, the
Yeah.
way he played rhythm.
Pete Cozy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's a different thing. So, I mean, I know I spent a lot of time just trying to play parts to Motown songs and to Stax songs, just to try to develop that capacity. Who were some of the funk and soul players that you most value?
The big one for me was Prince, honestly.
God.
Like just the rhythm guitar
Ridiculous.
stuff that he does
Right.
on
Mm-hmm.
like the Purple Rain record, but even like the more recent stuff like 3121, I think from like the early 2000s. Yeah, all of that rhythm guitar stuff that he did was just like so iconic, and like the
God,
parts he
yeah.
created were just like you can sing all of them, you know.
Yeah.
Did you listen to a lot of Prince?
I did. Yes. Yeah. Early on.
I mean, a little bit underrated as a
school.
guitar player, only because
Yeah.
he was such a genius at everything
Oh
else.
my God.
Mm-hmm.
That was his. Yeah, his main instrument.
Yeah.
You know, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I got to ask you both about your right hands. I couldn't quite see over your neck, but I'm pretty sure when you're playing fast, you're not using these fingers. It's just the pick, right?
Just the pick.
Or
yeah.
am I? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think anybody who listens to you is going to want to ask this question. How can I learn to play fast like you? Because we all know that playing fast is just one aspect of musicality. But I must say that listening to you, I almost feel like you could play 16th notes without stopping. Is that actually true?
I don't know.
Because
if I
that
could-
type of
Let's try.
relaxation. Because the lines you're playing are really long and clean. So, to me, in a beautiful way, referencing Pat Martino, tell us a little bit about, a couple of things that you can recommend to build some of
Yeah.
that facility.
Definitely. The big thing for me was adopting like the rest stroke technique with the pick. So like if I pretty much only do it in one direction with downstroke. So if
Yeah.
I do a downstroke on the E string, the pick is going to rest on the A string. If I do it on the A string, it rests on the D string. But if I do an upstroke, it escapes the strings. So like the picking motion on one string would be like this. Whereas what I used to do was I had more of like this hand position where my palm was resting on the bridge and the pick would kind of go on both sides of the string like this. So when I
Oh.
would speed it up, it'd be like all this wasted motion, and I could only really get so fast. But now with the rest stroke, it's like it's like accuracy but also
And
relaxation.
you're changing your position. That's more like Rodney Jones.
Yeah, Rodney Jones, George Benson,
Yep.
Benson.
Dan Wilson, David Gilmore.
Is that
Exactly. He's speaking my language.
No, but I
Totally.
never really
Totally.
looked at your
Well,
right hand.
It's
until
funny
today,
because we
so-
had a conversation. I don't know if you remember this. A couple of years back, he was teaching at Berkeley briefly, and we had a conversation about this because I basically learned. I think I got it from my teacher John Boboyan, and because he plays like this, and it's like a relaxed. It's George. They call it the George Benson technique.
Yes.
I get.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
and-
wait a minute. I need
Yeah.
because I don't do that, and it's probably one reason why I can't really play fast. I really want to drill down on this because I'm
it's not the only
quite
way.
No, I understand, but I don't think John McLaughlin does that.
Exactly.
But okay, I just want to understand why this gives you more relaxation, or why I'm not quite understanding the mechanics of it, to be honest.
So it's basically like
I'm gonna get a guitar.
once you get that down on one string, the main thing is that you want it to communicate well with the left hand. So if you
well, that totally makes sense to me.
So if you do, for example, like an odd number of pick strokes, and I'm still doing the rest stroke, you'll notice that I have to pick up the pick in order to do the upstroke to cross the string. So I would probably rather do.
I see.
So if I have an odd number going this way, I just do economy picking or sweep picking. If I have an odd number going this way, it just doesn't work. I have to like figure out some way with my left hand do like legato to offset things so that it's even over here again.
I see. So that's. Am I doing that right? As opposed to.
Right.
Alternate picking. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Yeah. Well,
And there's even
totally
a
makes
step
sense.
further than that, which I tend to do because I'm good at ascending with that. So down up down thing.
Right.
Right. But descending, not as good.
Right.
So I've kind of done like where I go down up, hammer off.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
So like that. Yeah,
So that was conscious for you, like, because this is hard going down.
I just discovered it that I think this guy Josh Meter, I've noticed that he actually does a similar thing, but I didn't realize. It's just something I worked out. I mean, I didn't consciously work it out, but I just realized I was skipping. So. But when I do practice alternate picking to this day, just to kind of get the fluidity going, because you will be using it here and there. But I was going to say one thing about this conversation we had, because I was trying to change my technique.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, to what a lot of people do, which is kind of this sort of more wrist type of thing, holding the pick, because there are certain, at least I found, disadvantages to holding the pick this way. I tend to, it's a little looser. Maybe, I can't get the sound I want it to. And I don't know, I've had a little tightening here. And I even had a conversation with Paul Bolenbach, actually, who did the same thing. He kind of comes from this George Benson camp.
Right.
And then he switched. And then we did a gig together like half a year ago, and he stopped doing it. And I asked him why. He's like, man, the sound. The sound is different, and it's true. I cannot get the same sound with this versus. I can't even do it right now, but it's just a different sound, and it's also the angle of the pick.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas most people, I will say, angle the pick this way.
Yes.
Some people get a good sound out of it, and but after doing something for many, many years, it's very hard to change.
Right.
I will go back and forth, like on certain acoustic, like on a guitar that has a pick guard, it's easier to rest, and my fingers are at the right height relative to the string. But if I'm on like a steel string guitar where it's far up, then it gets a little difficult, and that's where I might change my technique. So I'm still working on both techniques, but I always end up going back to.
Well, to go way into the weeds here, and this is where anybody who's not a guitar player has gone to watch TV or something. So there's two issues with the right hand that are so vexing, and I don't think people talk about the right hand enough. I know they didn't. Nobody talked about my right hand growing up. I think plenty of teachers do now, but the issue, of course, is the upstroke. It's just so like not what your hand wants to do because of gravity, and then also the idea of connecting the right and the left hand, which sounds so obvious, and yet is so much of feel and accuracy comes with that. So when you were learning and when you're teaching, what are some of the things that you're telling your students to do to be stronger on their upstrokes and to develop their coordination between the two hands?
Work with a metronome. I haven't really talked about upstroke. Some people are stronger with upstroke than downstroke.
Miles Okazaki is all over that upstroke thing in his lessons. Yeah,
okay.
He's the only guy I've seen really exercises to develop that. So that's not something that you either of you.
I haven't really emphasized just evenness of sound and working with a metronome to get your timing right. Between both hands and just in general, taking the click away every once a measure or once every two measures, and putting that click on like 2 or on 3 or any of the beats, things like that, where you're not depending on an external tempo, and now you have to internalize it and synchronize it.
But
with
okay,
wider
so
spacing.
just to be a little more specific, yes, a great way to work on your time. But that specific thing about the two hands, it's yet another level, I feel, of this issue that probably is a defining factor in how somebody sounds, whether they know it or not. And for me, I don't know if this is true for you, when I play faster, that's when it starts to, like, oh, okay,
Right.
I'm drifting a little because I'm not quite, the body's just not quite syncing up. Have you all dealt?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think the older we get, the time, or at least my technique or my speed has slowed down a little bit. I will, full disclosure, I listened to some old recordings of mine, and I'm just like,
Wow, he was burning.
I was burning back then. How did I keep up with that tempo? And I'm still working back there, but it's really interesting, and you hear that in a lot of players as they get older, and that's just nature, I think. So I don't know what that is. Muscle, some people never lose it. Like to me, like Chick Corea had it until the very end.
And so does McLaughlin.
So
unbelievable.
And so does John. So I'm still working on it. I don't know. I've done things. I'll say one thing. Timing. It's not just the timing between the two hands. You got to work on this hand. So I've done. Like legato things. And then just really make it slow and really figure out what is tripping you up. Sometimes it's the third and fourth finger, that's pinky.
My pinky a lot.
So
right?
Same.
Yeah.
You just want to.
But that's really. Sounds funny, but for using your pinky, that's really, really virtuosic.
Yeah. So, you want to figure out what muscles are tripping you up because it's a minuscule timing issues that those muscles are dragging you.
So true. I mean, it's because the pinky is so much shorter.
Right.
It's just all this. What about you developing some of this stuff?
One thing that I did a lot when I made the switch from this technique that I was talking about before to more of like the floating hand was it kind of like coincided when I was really into like studying licks as part of my improv practice. So I would just transcribe a bunch of licks and like try to use them over tunes and stuff. But I transcribed a bunch of George Benson stuff, and I like wrote out the pick strokes so that I could like sync it up with the left hand, and I would just kind of use them as like warm-ups like every day pretty much, like a phrase like that. I would practice it slow, medium, and then I would just kind of like floor it and look for moments where like I felt like my hands weren't syncing up, and then I would just focus in on those parts of the phrase.
Wow. Okay. So I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm assuming that in terms of the bebop language that you're using, that you both spent time transcribing horn solos as well, that it's not just guitar players.
Yeah,
Who are some of the other improvisers that have been important to you both?
Train, first and foremost, I would say. Sonny Stitt, especially for bebop vocabulary. Kenny Dorham solos, too. A lot of Bird stuff, but more like listening with Bird and like trying to sing the solos and stuff like that and absorb it that way rather than putting it on the instrument so much.
Yeah.
Herbie, another great.
Right. So let's listen to another tune. Trying to figure out what to ask you all to play. So why don't I just put it to you?
Okay.
What do you want to play?
Stella by Starlight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Want the melody?
Yeah. 2, 2, 3.
Man, fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, man.
So talking about comping, both chord movement, there's a lot of, you really have developed the walking bass line,
Oh, thank you.
a guitar thing, which is so challenging. Both of you are such beautiful compers. So just talk about rhythm guitar and who's important to you, and something, that about what you're doing that may not be that obvious that you want to talk
Sure.
about.
Yeah. Well, for me, the big guitar compers that I listened to a lot were like Peter Bernstein, Wes, Jim Hall, especially.
Mm-hmm.
A really like formative moment for me was hearing that Jim Hall, Bill Evans duo record and the version of My Funny Valentine they do where Jim goes into the like walking Freddie Green style chords. And I always like wanted that sound for accompaniment. So a lot of what I do is like kind of like shell voicings. Like a good example would be if I have like G minor, just voicing it like that. But I'll do a lot of passing diminished stuff. So I might get to like an inversion of G minor using like A diminished. So the A diminished shell, just A, F sharp, and C. And I'll do like kind of like what I mentioned with the soloing stuff, where I'll do all sorts of stuff to extend the chord sound. So rather than just G minor, you have G minor 6, but you also have all that passing stuff
5-1
too.
kind of a thing.
Yeah. And like tenths, I do a lot of tenths as well. So just taking out the middle note too. Especially for walking stuff, I like that sound. Like when we did 4-on-6. That was mostly like tenths, but a couple
Interesting.
shell voicings.
That's really useful. I don't know about you, David. When it's explained to me like that, it doesn't seem so hard as it does when I'm listening to it. I'm like, wow, there's all this stuff going on. But I know I grasp much more clearly what you're doing now. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to find if you're thinking of like a drop 3 and just take out the 7th, but it's a totally different effect if you take that 7th out. But I will say, I mean, I'm no walking, bass.
Or just rhythm in general,
expert.
just your thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, often when I hear guitar players doing like a walking bass thing, they tend to play the, the end of 4? No, sorry, the end of 1, right? That because it's easier, right? So what were we just playing? 1, and right? That gets a little monotonous, right? You don't hear piano players doing that much.
Right.
So you want to try to do like the end of 4. So you got to anticipate the chord before the bass line, which is a lot harder. 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
No, I'm messing up the chords, but you got the idea. If you
Yeah,
just do one.
yeah, that's a great idea.
In advance, and variate that. So on the beat, on the 4, and on the 1, those 3 right there, if you, that's like, what, I don't know, 75% of what cats are doing, and just, but we tend to do just the end of 1.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts when I hear that. 1. It's just.
I'm going to take note of that next time I do a walking
And a
bass.
4.
Watch
It's
that
hard to
and
get
a
to the
1,
bass
especially
line.
if he's around.
Yeah, it's hard to get to the bass note, but
Yeah.
you don't always have to get to the bass note.
I got
You can jump to it on the next beat.
Yes.
Because it's on 1, 2, 3, 4, and jump on 2.
So speaking of rhythmic playing, though, let's go back to the funk things. Like, who are some of your, play a little bit of funk and just show us what you do with that, because this is another, to me, underrated thing that the greatest guitar players and some of the greatest tunes of our lives
Mm-hmm.
came alive because somebody was back there playing rhythm. And I know we all focus so much on soloing, but I'm guessing, though I don't think I've ever heard you play a funk tune, I'm guessing you got a great funk feel, and I know you do. So why don't you do that a little bit? Just mess around.
I mentioned Sugarfoot, right? Ohio players, roller
Right.
coaster. I mean, this is, it's just a silly. Sorry, it's so loud here. Yeah. It has this bounce to it
Yeah.
that they have, and
Mm-hmm.
to me, it comes from both hands, right? The release here, but it's also this kind of swingy, snappy kind of thing, and so that's something that
Yeah.
it's the accents. It's like playing the drums, and it's all it's getting the accents going on this thing and on this thing too.
And the muting. Right.
Here's a good one. I just remember this was one of the first ones I learned. A friend of mine tried to teach me, like I was like 6 months into my guitar playing, and I was not ready for this, but
Right.
Sun Goddess.
Right. Yeah.
That was hard to do. It's still hard to do, because it's all in this hand. This is really all the rhythm is in this hand. So it's just it's
Yeah.
it's really getting the sensibility of the feel of those things and how to
Yes.
play them. And that just I mean, I guess before I ever learned any solo licks, I was learning rhythm guitar first. Like stuff on the radio and stuff. I mean, like boogie oogie. I grew up in the disco era, so it was like get down boogie. What was ding, 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 that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's
Absolutely.
it's not easy. I hear, and I used to
No.
teach a funk class at Berkeley. Actually, it was.
Oh, you did.
It was it was a challenge, man, because
How funky on a scale of 1 to 10 were the students
well,
when they came in?
there were some challenges there, and but it really took me back to like, okay, how do I explain this, and how do I, how do I describe to them how to do this? And I came up with this, what I'm talking about, like the loose wrist, the release and stuff. So we would just take things and take them apart like anything and really analyze it.
Well, I probably sounded facetious when I asked that, but I'm guessing that most of the students who show up at Berkeley, if they're prepared to study jazz at all, have been learning how to solo, and they play some tunes, but that funk could be completely immaterial to them, or they may never have even encountered it.
Yeah.
Which to me, like, is severely limiting, even if you're a straight ahead player.
Yeah.
So what about you and some of that way of playing guitar?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of it, like I mentioned, I got to it from Prince and Jimi Hendrix too, like Hendrix's rhythm stuff.
Amazing.
And some of that I feel like was in that roller coaster riff.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I played a little bit in church growing up too, doing like gospel sort of quartet stuff. I don't know if I have any of that in my bag anymore.
All gone.
But like the really like
Woo!
like the really like staccato, like punctuated percussive stuff like that.
Yeah, I who showed me some of that is Mark Lettieri. Do you know him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he plays some of that stuff, and that's just what you played is something I hadn't come across a lot of that in my life. Is it like a church thing? I mean, because I don't know that many tunes where you're asked to do something like that.
Yeah, I would say it comes from the church. Yeah, like they call it quartet music, or like quartet and drives and stuff like that, where it's just like really fast, but the guitar is always just that like super syncopated, plucky kind of stuff.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I feel like a lot of that language from like a rhythm guitar standpoint is still coming from like Hendrix and Prince and Curtis Mayfield and stuff like
Curtis
that.
Mayfield, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Although this is like that motor rhythm is a very specific thing. Wow. So do your guys' right hands get tired? Because it looks like yours doesn't. I know mine tenses up if I'm trying to play a lot of fast stuff or if I'm playing funk. You know, like I've been learning some Isley Brothers tunes, and you know, there's like even on their tracks that aren't live, it's 5 minutes of this the whole time, and you know, that's a muscle.
It's a muscle, yeah. Well, that's partly what I was saying, like why I kind of changed my technique a little bit, but again, I changed it back, and I'm just reminding myself to be loose. Also, I was saying one thing, the pick, like I will not use this pick when I'm playing funk for any length of time.
Oh, really?
This is a heavy pick.
Oh, why not?
I need, because
you need use it, switch to a medium.
You need
or
a thin
something?
pick. You need like this kind of thing, and you need some floppiness to have it. You know, the difference between, I mean, you know, I'm not playing the right guitar for this. I should have a Strat or something. Yeah, it's versus, I don't know if you can hear the difference, but I can feel the difference for sure. You know, but yeah, you need some. This is even too thick. I don't know. This is a medium.
I'm gonna have to
You know,
go
so
out
I
and
think
get
that's
some
what
floppy
most
picks.
funk cats probably have, like a real floppy thing going on. You
Fender
know?
Thins and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
Fender
the sound,
mediums.
it's a thinner sound. You
Yeah.
know, it's a more glassier, transparent type of sound. This is just too thuddy for funk.
And those don't break on you, those thin Fenders?
No, I use like a 0.73 millimeter pick, so it's got quite a bit of flex to it, but I never have any issues with it snapping or anything like that.
But that's still pretty thick.
I've used thinner than this though, like 0.5 millimeters too. And
Do you have a really light right-hand touch?
It depends on what I'm playing, I think. I feel like if I'm playing like medium tempo, just like lines, I have a pretty heavy touch. But if I'm
Okay.
playing double time stuff, I definitely lighten things up quite a bit. Like if I'm playing like you know, that's what I would consider to be a heavier touch. But then,
Right.
you know, you can even hear that I'm missing some of the notes because I'm picking quite lightly. You know,
I see.
And the gauge of the string is going to also dictate how heavy you tie. I got like a 13 and a 16 on here, so I'm going
my
I'm
God,
going heavy.
really?
Yeah, I put a set of
Check you
11s. I put a set of 11s and then I replace it with a 13 and 16 in general. Sometimes a 12, but I just feel I can get just more melody, you know, presence out of it. You know?
Right.
But not for rhythm guitar. Once again, not for for
Yeah,
funk
sure.
rhythm guitar, but for comping, jazz, and stuff. Yeah.
So one of the things that's important to me about your background, because the first time I ever saw you play was with M-Bass with Steve Coleman, and that was at Yoshi's in Oakland in the early 90s, maybe?
Wow, in Oakland, yeah. Yeah,
Do I have my
something
timing
like that.
right?
That sounds about right. 92, maybe 91, 92.
So you're really, obviously you were back then and you still are, pretty skilled in odd times. Talk to us a little bit about the attraction to you and the stuff you've worked on to develop that.
Well, I thought I was until I met Steve and I started playing his music. Then
Well,
that was a whole different
yes.
challenge in terms of odd meters. But yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up, listening to Fusion and, Mahavishnu and Return of Forever and
Right.
groups like that. So I was kind of into that stuff already to a certain extent. But Steve's music definitely had some other twists and turns there. And but we worked together as a band and sort of figured out how to play each other's parts, or at least to hear and sing each other's parts. So because it's not so much like this is the meter, this is the tune, but there's a lot of interweaving of rhythms there. There's a lot of polymetric stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'd be like I play a riff in like 7 and then the main thing is in 6. So it's like overlapping, And so you kind of have to hear what's happening while you're playing your thing and being able to jump from one to the next. So it sort of expands your listening, and rhythmically. But I don't know, it's just something that we all gravitate to certain things in music, and for me, rhythm has always been. I played drums actually in high school before I picked up a guitar, and then I showed my brother some stuff, and he, clearly was the drummer in the family, so he took over, and then I picked this thing up. But I always, and percussion and stuff like that. So I was playing both at the same time, and then I still it's like my closet instrument, drums. I love.
No kidding.
Love the
that
drums,
explains a lot.
Love the
that
drums.
explains.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure partly why your time and feel are so good.
It helps, and also I would say, I tell students this, like, do you dance? Do you dance to music? Because a lot of jazz musicians, they don't dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I include myself.
It's like, and I mean, or it doesn't even have to be dance, but some kind of body movement, because
sure.
you got to synchronize your body to, to time. And I took it was a mandatory class when I went to NYU called Dalcroze Rhythmics. And I learned a lot. I discovered I didn't even know who Milton Nascimento was until I took that class. And the teacher played for us Native Dancer with Wayne Shorter and Milton. And I was blown away by that music, but also just, we would go around the room stomping and clapping rhythms and stuff like we're in nursery school and stuff, because they teach this to kids.
Yeah. No, I studied that and taught kids.
It
was
really such
useful.
a great class for me. A lot of people bitched and moaned about it, but probably because they weren't good at it and they didn't understand the relevance of moving your body to rhythm.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's, if I could say anything, go and take a dance class or something, or, or just move something, and it's not just you have to have counter rhythms inside of you, like if you see a funk player, they're often like, I don't know, where the counter rhythm is my head bobbing, on the offbeat, having that, it just synchronizes you a lot better than, you know what I'm saying? It's like you got to be a drummer within, your own body.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Have you worked a lot with Odd Times?
Not so much. Just like playing my peers' music and kind of like hanging on by the edge of my seat. I listened to a lot of that stuff though. I grew up, like David said, like listening to Mahavishnu Orchestra, and a lot of like fusion stuff. And also,
what were some of your favorite fusion players? If we can use that term.
Yeah, totally. Well, McLaughlin and Holdsworth, I would consider to be at like the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah, you can't get much higher up than the food chain than that.
Exactly. Bill Connors too. His stuff with Return to Forever. Scott Henderson too.
Only people I know who saw Bill Connors live.
Really?
With Chick. Yeah.
With Chick, yeah.
Ooh. When I was a teenager.
Oh, my goodness.
That must have been something.
Yeah, but that was one of those life-changing moments.
Mm-hmm.
He put out albums through the years, and lived out in the Bay Area, but as far as I know, he's disappeared now. I remember hearing,
I caught some of his stuff, like albums, like later on, Yeah, he was a precursor to, I don't know, kind of the same time as Holdsworth, right? But he was maybe overshadowed a little bit by...
Oh, well, who wouldn't be overshadowed?
Yeah, right.
Holdsworth. I think Alan Holdsworth overshadowed Alan Holdsworth.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got to draw to a close because we only have so much time here, but it's really been great to have you both together. This is the first time we've ever done this with me as in the center, kind of watching you both work together. And I'm wondering if you can go out by playing one more piece for everybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
You want to call something?
Something in 13/8? No,
yes.
How about, actually, something like All the Things You Are in 7, maybe?
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's something that everybody likes to do for some reason. Well, hold on. Let me get in tune here. Do we have time to tune up? Tell the joke.
Always.
Tell the joke.
There's always time to tune.
Actually, let's skip the intro. How do we do this? I'll play the melody. Okay. 2 bars of 7. 1, 2, 3.
Cecil Alexander, David Gilmore, thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for bringing us together. We haven't played since, oh my God.
Yeah, since I took lessons from you.
Yeah, like.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, a brief semester.
2013, I think.
Oh my God.
No,
Is it that long
so when
ago?
he showed up, he sought refuge in your company?
Something like that, but I'm glad you forgot everything I taught you because you're doing all right.
Keep it up, kid.
Keep it up.
All right. Beautiful.
All right.